Dominic.
Present.
Lyndon Johnson.
Present.
Jackson. Lynn.
Present.
Bowman.
Present.
Cawthorn.
Present.
Watts. Middleton.
Present.
Atkins. Chavez.
Here, sir.
Smith. Lewis Johnson.
Present.
We have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. We will have our invocation by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Jim Smith. Please stand.
Our hearts and minds be at peace as we go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you to say thank you for another day. Thank you for life, for health, and for strength. God, we ask that you watch over us during this meeting and as we go about our business and just throughout our lives, oh God. God, we ask that you keep a hedge of protection around the city of Shreveport, the Parish of Caddo, the state of Louisiana, our nation and our world. We're here to do your business and the will of you, oh God. Season many other blessings we ask. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Place your plate. Pray there for me. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson, and thank you, Commissioner Smith. I have no agenda additions. Mr. Clerk, do you have any?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Next item, please.
Citizen comments.
Citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning, please fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and return to the president or the clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes. I have 2 cards. First, I have Ms. Renee Funderburg. Please join us, Ms. Funderburg. Welcome.
Hi, my name's Renee Funderburg. I'm here for where our street's concerned on Millwood Drive. One of the main problems is on the part of the road has got a down bridge, which is, that road's cut off. If you go on the other side of Millwood, where the construction starts, you got your end parish sign right there. On my side, where the road is, you got the parish sign 700 feet before you even get to the dead end. Our road is horrible. The front end of our vehicles are falling out, And with me, like with my back injury and everything, all them bumps like that, it causes my disc to constantly go down on another one, and that causes me to have more surgeries. That's the main thing, especially for where they've got the parish end signs. Why is ours 700, 800 feet before the bridge is out, where on the other side, it's basically right there? We need this problem solved. It's causing a lot of problems. I wasn't able to get a hold of our mail lady to get her to sign. We got signatures, from people in the neighborhood to where they agree with us. It's horrible. So we would appreciate, please, to, find some way of helping us to get this done. It's getting to where this is our only way in and out. We don't have another way to go around in the neighborhood to get out. We got one way in, one way out. And the water is so bad on this one part where the culvert is, when it goes down, we're not even gonna be able to leave out of our neighborhood. So we would appreciate if y'all would just please consider this and help us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Funderburg. We are not able to have dialogue with you at this time, but I'm sure that we'll be sending Mr. Weaver. I see you back there to talk to you. Mr. Weaver, if you would wave your hand so they can see you all the way in the back. Okay. Thank you. I have another comment from I don't know if it's Miss or Mr. Terry Brownlee.
Yes.
Mrs. Terry Brownlee. Welcome. All right, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, everything that Renee said, I'm not going to repeat it, but in the curve where it's right past where the Caddo Parish maintenance ends, at the culvert, there is an electric pole, and it's leaning, and right before you get to there, there's dead trees. That's preventing our drainage, and when it's raining like it is right now, the rain literally crosses the road and is washing all the road out. And I've got pictures of potholes that's across the road where we do have to stop to take our time to get across the road. And then the parish has came out and put stop signs down at the end of the road that Renee was speaking about at the bridge. It shows that you can't go anywhere else, and there's a 500 feet in front of my house that it shows that you can't go anywhere else. So our problem is crossing the roads, getting to our house, and like she said, getting out. And it's a lot of elderly people that live down there. So we've got a problem.
Thank you so much for your comments, and we will address those problems today. Mr. Weaver will be speaking with you. If you would like to meet him out in the back, he's going to talk to you right now. Thank you so much for coming down. I have no other cards. Mr. Clerk?
This time we move to visitors.
I have a commissioner on board. Commissioner Dominic?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend rules to allow the special resolution regarding Mr. Joe Lawler at this time.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Dominic to suspend the rules to allow Mr. Lawler to come forward, and it was seconded by
Chavez.
Commissioner Chavez.
You could put on Bowman.
You can do Chavez.
Okay. Please
What a
vote.
gentleman.
Mr. Atkins.
Wake up over there.
Yeah, sorry.
And that passes
Kim.
11 with one out the chamber. Please rise.
All right, next we move to special resolution of recognition and remembrance to Mr. Joe Lawler, former Caddo Parish Police Juror.
Hey, Danny, David, you know, come on up more. Or anybody in the family?
In the name and by the authority of the Caddo Parish Commission, resolution of remembrance and respect to the memory of Mr. Joe K. Lawler. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission pauses to reflect with sad fondness upon the life and works of a former colleague, Mr. Joe K. Lawler, whose passing on January 13, 2019, marked the close of a long and productive life of public service. And whereas Joe Lawler was a native of Caddo Parish who spent most of his life in this community as a firefighter, businessman, and civic and political leader. He was appointed to the Caddo Parish Commission, Caddo Parish Police Jury in March 1972 to fill the unexpired term of Francis Bickham, and subsequently was elected later that year. His retirement in January 1984 ended 12 years of distinguished service, which included terms as President, 1982, and Vice President, 1981. And whereas Joe Lawler's dedication to his community showed by the battles he fought to ensure fire districts for those in rural areas of Caddo Parish, along with his push for quality parks in his district and his unrelenting belief that the sheriff should run the parish jail. Even though Joe fought for what he believed, his warm personality and his cheerful, helpful attitude endeared him to all. His knowledge and open-minded sense of fairness and justice inspired others to seek his counsel. And whereas Joe Lawler served with integrity, dedication, and commitment, traits which in every instance impelled him to seek to do the right thing in service of the people of Caddo Parish. He judiciously guarded the taxpayer assets placed in his trust, often questioning expenditures, imposing those he regarded as unwise, unwarranted, extravagant, or frivolous, but also kept in mind the need to reach out and help those citizens in need. He was equally circumspect in his personal life, approaching each day and each situation with reason and knowledge and guided by an unwavering morality born of a deep and abiding faith in his Creator. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission is burdened with a deep and profound sense of loss and sadness upon the passing of its colleague and friend, former police juror Joe K. Lawler, and that it will treasure its collective memories and presence, and his presence, his contributions, and his big, friendly smile. Be it further resolved that the Commission does extend to his family and many friends its most sincere expressions of sympathy and consolation, an assurance that the Commission shares their grief and the prayer that they will be comforted by the certainty of the joy and peace that Joe has now found in his eternal home. Signed, President Gage Watts, Mario Chavez, Vice President, Doug Dominic, District 1.
Just wanted to say a few words to you guys. Mr. Joe was a great person, and we also oftentimes give resolutions when people pass, but it's unique when we have one of our very own that passed. Your dad was a great inspiration to myself and all of us in the parish. When you look back, you know, we're talking about Walter B. Jacobs Park, the Richard Fleming Park, the fire districts in our area. He constantly supported Northwood High School, but he supported North Caddo too. Not just the one. And that made me think so much and proud of him. He'll be dearly missed, I know, from you guys, and I appreciate everything your dad did for our area, and we'll continue to pray for y'all, and I'd like to present this to y'all this time. Danny, David, Ken, family.
Thank you, Doug.
You're very welcome. If y'all want, anybody want to say anything?
On behalf of the Lawler family, he loved the commission. He kept up with what all y'all had going on all the time. And we really appreciate y'all doing this for him and for the family. And he would be most proud today. Thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Before you all leave, I just want to say to Commissioner Dominic, and I see that we have at least one commissioner on the board right now, thank you for bringing the Lawler family down in order for us to honor you all and to give you our condolences during this time. And as he said, it's a unique situation when it's one of our own. So we appreciate you lending him to Caddo Parish for the time that we had him and to lay this example that we're following today. So you are in our prayers, and again, thank you and welcome.
Well, thank you. And I know Doug did spearheaded this from what I understand. Thank you, Doug. We appreciate it very much.
Yes, he did. Parliamentarian Bowman.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be brief. I just pretty much echo what Commissioner Dominic and even Madam President already said. Very rarely that you meet people before you actually meet them, meaning that you've heard something good about them, you know something. And I know early on through my mother and your father, it's like they just forged some good relationship and they just kept on. It's like this big respect that she had and admiration. And so as a result, I met you all before I even knew it.
That's
so
right.
I see how great you all are, and I see why the apple or the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. He will be missed, and we just thank you, and we thank you for even allowing to share him with us.
Well, thank you very much. The Bowmans have always been very dear to my dad and our family.
Yes, sir.
And we appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Madam President, may I say something, please?
Of course you may.
I have the, I've been friends with the Lawlers, my family, for 40 years now. My dad and Mr. Joe served together. And one of the things people don't really know is when we changed from the police jury to the commission, we went from 20 members to 12 members. And Mr. Joe's district kind of got gobbled up by District 2 and District 1. And one thing, I was a college student, but I paid a lot of attention to politics and still do. And one of the things I really noticed and always kind of held in esteem was his attitude. He always wanted to do what was good for this body and for the citizens of this parish. And that made a real impression on me as a young man. And there are not a lot of people willing to give up their district to see improvements and a better form of government. And Mr. Joe was one of those.
I appreciate that, Todd. You know that Roy and Joe were partners in crime many times. So.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, for sharing that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dominic?
Yeah, I guess we need to vote on it this time. I think I'll make the motion. Is the motion already made?
Yeah.
You,
Okay.
It's by acclamation, I'm sure.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Ken, thank you.
Thank all y'all.
See you later.
Bye. I'll entertain a motion to go back to the regular agenda.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Carthorne, and it was seconded by Commissioner Jackson to move back into the regular agenda
By acclamation.
by acclamation.
Next, we move to visitors. Well, we actually have one more. We need to at least recognize. Resolution of recognition, recognizing Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. I think they're not here for the presentation, but we want to make it part of the record.
Let the record reflect. There's a resolution of recognition for recognizing Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month.
Need a motion and a second.
It's been motioned by the
Second.
chair.
Yeah.
Second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Do we need to vote? Is there any opposition? None. It's by acclamation. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to visitors. This time we have United Way of Northwest Louisiana to provide an update on the 2018 Alice report.
Okay.
Madam President and Commissioners,
Welcome, sir.
my name is Bruce Wilson, and I am the President and CEO of United Way of Northwest Louisiana. It is with great humility and honor that we stand before you today. I was reflecting on you just this past Sunday. In Romans 13, it speaks of the governing authorities. It says three things about you. It says, number one, you've been appointed by God. Now, you may think you got elected. God put you where you are.
Oh, yeah.
Second thing it says, it calls you deacons. Now, it's translated as servants, but you serve the people. And it also calls you ministers. And you perform a very special function. To help you, we at United Way are engaged in various projects and studies to give you information to help you understand where your citizenry are, what their situation is. To help you understand that a little more, Ms. Rashida Dawson, who is our Vice President for Financial Stability, is here to brief you on what we term the Alice Report, the newest edition. Rashida?
Welcome, Ms. Dawson.
Thank you for having me, Commissioner. We truly appreciate the opportunity, and I promise you I'm not going to take up much of your time because I'm not that person. But we want to talk to you about the ALICE report. And so many of you are familiar with what ALICE is, but ALICE stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. And these are the working poor families and individuals who are only one paycheck away from going through a major financial crisis. And as far as what we want to start with today is about what has changed with the ALICE report. What we wanted to do was make sure that each of you all had your own district inside of your package, which we're going to go through it. So what's changed when it comes to the ALICE reports? Of course, we have different metrics and methodology. We have housing, healthcare, we also have childcare, food, transportation, miscellaneous items. But then what is new to the ALICE report for this year is going to be technology. One of those things are new because what we all know and we all have up here probably is that we all have a smartphone, correct? And I know that a lot of you are wired in from your citizens as well as those who are inside your communities. You need to be able to have access to them. But also for those who are our ALICE individuals, we want to make sure that we put in that, that fee, exactly what people are paying every single month for technology. Even thinking about children who have to do their homework. That is a big thing. They need access to the internet. And then also just having a working phone. There's not many of us who have a landline anymore, all right? Then taxes. The only thing that would have changed as far as the numbers to make sure that we had the most accurate numbers for you all is that the only thing they changed was the state taxes were updated. So what's changed when it comes to ALICE and those who are poverty households for Caddo Parish? In 2016, ALICE households was about 25%, poverty households was 23%, which made the total population for ALICE and those who are in poverty households of 48%. However, the numbers have deeply changed in 2 years. So now we are at 29% for ALICE households. Households that are in poverty is 24%, which makes a total of 53% that has changed over the course of 2 years since our last ALICE report. I'll skip that one. For when it comes from what's changed as far as the median income for Caddo Parish, in 2016, the median income was $39,315. And for 2018, now the median household income that is coming in is $37,104. So that means that our wages are going down, but our expenses are still steadily going up. So when it comes to the household survival budget, of course, when it comes to our ALICE report, we wanted to recognize that, first of all, we have singles. So we want to base that off of. And then we also have a family of 4 that actually consists of 2 adults, an infant, and a preschooler. In 2016, for someone who was single, for their household survival budget, and please keep in mind that this is the bare necessities. This is actually bus fare. This is not saying that someone might have a car, but these are things to think about: bus fare, their taxes, household. When you think about your housing, we're talking about possibly a very, very modest home when it comes to apartment complexes. Just thinking about those things. So $17,064 was needed for someone who was single. For a family of 4, you needed $46,164 for a family of 4. However, in 2018, for someone who was single, you need about over $20,000, and for a family of 4, over $58,000 for you to just allow yourself to make ends meet. I did want to include this for you all when it comes to different districts, and this is based also with the ALICE report, and we were able to take some of that data away for each district in Caddo Parish. For District 1, it is 47% of those who are at ALICE and who are in poverty. District 2 is 55%. District 3 is 69%. District 4 is 53%. District 4, excuse me, and then District 5 is 73%, District 6 is 68%, District 7 is 64%, District 8 is 33%, District 9 is 29%, District 10 is 57%, District 11 is 37%, and District 12 is 45%. So what is United Way doing when it comes to addressing these issues? Not only do we know that we have issues with the working poor and them trying to have ends meet, but we also know that we need to have resources that are put into place to be able to help those individuals get onto the right path of financial stability. So with United Way, of course, we have our 211 system. That's where anybody can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. Yes. So you can make sure that you can get connected to resources, because what people often get confused about when it comes to poverty and those who are the working poor is not because someone wanted to be in those positions, but those who truly need help. So you can call 211, get those resources, and get connected. Also, what we are doing is through our financial stability programs. One of those is Bank On Northwest Louisiana, and I brought that to you guys once before. But Bank On not only does one thing as far as getting someone banked, but we want to be able to break down barriers and have easy access to financial institutions inside of our community, because we know that some people might not have a bank account, not because it's not something that they don't want, it's just because they've never seen it. Right? And then also it might be someone who may have messed up their account in the past, not because they were doing that on purpose, but it's just simply because they might have forgot about one fee. They might have went out to dinner and about $10 tip might have came out and they forgot about it, and then next thing you know, their account is overdrawn. With that program, you can go to any of our 13 banks and credit unions and open up an account. Also with that is free financial outreach and workshops that we do. We go out to the community where the people are, which is extremely important, because we can't expect for them to come to us, and bring our partners who are part of Bank On to the community so people will learn and talk to these talk to them, build a relationship, and be able to learn about credit, home ownership, building a budget right there where they are. And then in turn, we know we can be able to change their mindset, and hopefully they will set up an appointment or come and visit us and learn more about our programs. The final thing that we are doing that's going to be new is going to be the Financial Empowerment Center. And that is a partnership that's going to also be with the city of Shreveport to provide free professional, one-on-one financial counseling to any and every citizen inside of our area, especially for the citizens of Shreveport. But anyone can come to this and come as many times as they want. And we want to do that because not everyone has equal access and can be able to afford someone to help them with their credit or help them with home ownership. We want to be able to offer that completely equal across the spectrum. And that is the reason why we want to have free financial counseling for all citizens as a public service. Does anyone have any questions about our ALICE report or our programs?
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Rashida and Bruce, for coming down, and thank you for giving us this annual reminder. Commissioner Lynn and I did an exercise just a minute ago while y'all were presenting, where we looked at the other person's district to try to compare, and hopefully what we find in that exercise is that there's not much space in between a lot of these districts.
No.
And the notion that there are areas or pockets of poverty in all of our districts.
Yes.
And so we have to be mindful of that in our policy making and what we do down here. And so I think we've partnered with you all on the 211.
Yes.
We have partnered with you all on several other things around financial literacy. So when we're coming up, and I always use this ALICE report as a guide to frame public policy, what we do. And my motto has always been, if I know that there's a problem, we need to be working toward a solution. It doesn't mean that the government has to be the solution, but we at least need to be going out to seek and find those solutions. And so that's what this guide gives me every year, is what are the issues? What are the issues that are going on in our communities that we need to be addressing? Because it's not just enough to say we're coming down here every first and third Monday and Thursday of the month. And these statistics look like they're getting worse.
They are.
And so if this was a report card, and I'm not saying this should be a metrics for our performance, but collectively as a city, a parish, a state, the business community,
yes,
the nonprofit sector, the healthcare sector, how do we collectively address these issues together? And so, I'll be knocking on y'all doors sooner or later with another probably interesting idea or something, but we've got to start reversing these trends. I think it's Governor John Bell Edwards who said we need to be going up on the good list and down on the bad list.
Right.
And so thank you for the data, because I know a lot of folks, they're data driven. And so this gives us actual hardcore data. And again, I want to encourage my colleagues, if you will, do that exercise that we just did. Look to your left, look to your right, and notice that there's not a whole lot of difference. There's not a whole lot of difference in the districts. And that slide that you just ran through with all of our districts, that's powerful to show the actual numbers that are there. So again, thank y'all for the information, and I look forward to partnering with y'all. We just was talking about the Housing Trust Fund. That was something that was born out of this, and once we get it up, y'all have a seat on that, and once we get it up and running, I think it's something that hopefully will drive down some of these statistics and turn that red green. So thank y'all.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Yeah, Ms. Dawson, and both of y'all just appreciate y'all coming down here. You did a really, really good job of explaining everything. And,
thank you.
Each and every year, I think sometimes this is something that's a little bit back on our back burner to think about poverty and how the ALICE report works in our area. But every time you come, you're able to, kind of go, oh yeah. Sometimes I don't think about that, but
right.
You reminded me. So thank you for coming.
Appreciate
You
it.
did a really good job of explaining it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're right.
Thank you,
Commissioner Dominic.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. You did do a great job. Both of you did a great job, as always, in presenting these numbers to us. This data is important. I have a question about something that I don't see, and maybe you can help me.
Sure.
Is there any gauge to see where the homeless teenagers, our at-risk youth, are they included in this plan?
I can't directly give you that answer, but I think the best partner who you can partner with would definitely be Hope Connection, the Hopeless Coalition, because they'll be able to give you the most accurate numbers since they are out there in the field to be able to see not only the adults but also the teenagers. So I would direct you to Hope for the Homeless, for the Hopeless Coalition.
Okay. I think that's something else that my colleagues and I need to be well aware of, is that we have a whole community of homeless youth that are out there that don't have a mother or a father or aunt or a grandmother or anywhere that they can go. And that's an issue that is very important to me, and I feel like it needs to be addressed here at home. I know that there are millions all over the United States, but I would like to start something here to make sure that we can address that issue as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your services.
Thank you, Madam President.
All right. I have another comment, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yes,
just
Commissioner
very briefly.
Carthorne.
Thanks. Just very briefly, I want to thank you guys for coming out. You do. Just to chime and echo what Commissioner Gates-Watts just said, you guys do an excellent job on an annual basis doing this. But my question is, and I know you guys don't have all the solutions, but I know that the problem that we face is a massive problem. And so to solve any problem, you take it one bite at a time.
Yes.
In a very practical sense, if we wanted to start on the road to a 15-year, 10-year trajectory to improve this, what would you guys consider the low-hanging fruit that we could expend energy into and to create synergy between government, business, industry, and nonprofits like yourself?
Can I answer? I gotta ask you guys.
Am I going to be able to stop you?
Yes. But I mean, to be honest with you, I don't feel like we should ever have to reinvent the wheel. When it comes to some of the programs that we've already had, especially with our financial stability programs, these have been proven programs that have had proven outcomes, because even with our Bank on Northwest Louisiana program, we know that's been working because we've been able to bank over 4,000 individuals in the past 4 to 5 years, and that's saying a whole lot. And then also partnering with our free tax preparation programs, coming out and talking to the citizens who are getting their taxes done on Super Saturdays. We were able to do a Super Saturday event here in Shreveport and Caddo Parish, and we had about 40 to 45 individuals to show up between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. And just to think about that, even from last year, we were able to provide free tax preparation services just in this area to over 2,900 people. So 2,898 actually, to be exact, for the Shreveport area for VITA sites. So these are ways, and being able to integrate all together and not reinvent the wheel, but be able to put these programs inside of our businesses and businesses inside of your districts will be extremely helpful, and for their employees, so we can help those working poor individuals.
Commissioner Cochran, I'll give you one thing that you could advocate for and try to make happen that would have immediate results for the working poor. Shut down predatory lending. Shut down.
Amen.
Shut down these or somehow curb rent-to-own kind of operations. And I realize I may be stepping on people's toes that are sitting here on the council, but that puts people in a cycle of debt poverty that they never climb out of. If we could address that, that's one of the first things that give you immediate results.
Thank you.
You have preached 2 sermons today. Are you done, Commissioner Carthorne?
Yes, I am. Thank
Okay.
you, Madam President.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. It's my turn to speak a sermon.
Well, preach, brother. Preach, John, preach.
If this Dr. Wilson will agree with me here, and I'll try not to put you on the spot as badly as last year, but certain people know I have certain issues that I harp on, but I think that people ask what can be done to improve the quality of life and reduce poverty and unhappiness in our community. And I would propose that there are 3 things. 1, graduate from high school.
Yes.
2, get a job, any job. And 3, postpone childbirth till you have a spouse to help you with raising that child.
And we would affirm all those.
So I encourage all of us to preach those 3 lessons to the people in our community, because much of what we do in our community is tending to the outcomes that result from not following those 3 rules. So I think it's important that we preach to follow those 3 rules and that would reduce the amount of poverty and unhappiness in our communities. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins.
And John is going to fund a project, program to that extent also. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
He's going to ask you to invest in it, though, the first investment.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to Communications Committee reports. Administration response to information requests from commissioners.
Dr. Wilson.
President Gage Watts, Commissioners, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, you should find some information at the place of your station in reference to a request that Commissioner Jackson had on the funding allocation for the tornado that occurred recently in the Queensboro area. You have a breakdown in front of you. Just want to rectify a couple of things. The total amount allocated thus far is $514,000 plus an additional $150,000 pending. And year to date, Caddo Community Action Agency had spent $508,285. And we did request information from Homeland Security Office, Mr. Robert Jump, to give some information for us. And also we asked the City of Shreveport for their funding allocation towards that effort. So we have yet to receive those two things. Once we get those, we will give it to the board and i.e. Commissioner Jackson. Okay, I have a presentation, ma'am, I need to make.
Okay. Dr. Wilson, before you do your presentation, we got two commissioners on the board. Is it in reference to this report?
It was, but he answered as far as he hadn't heard any feedback from the city.
I can wait till after the report.
So
Okay.
I can wait till
I'll just
after
leave
the
you all
report.
in the queue.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dr. Wilson.
Yes, ma'am. Any questions?
They're going to come back to you when you get through with your
Okay,
presentation.
certainly. Thank you, ma'am. Commissioners, volunteers, keep organizations such as the Parish of Caddo. Volunteers are very important to our society. They enrich the city, the parish, state, and the nation, and they bring us together as a community. It is my privilege to acknowledge some very special persons who have volunteered 100+ hours with our Volunteer Naturalist Program. I would like to ask Ms. Stacy Gray, Education Coordinator, to join me here at the podium, Ms. Angela Molly, Ms. Heather Mills, and Ms. Jennifer Smith, along with Director Andre Wesley, and Mr. Doug Rainwater. I'll go ahead and read one of the certificates. They say the Parish of Caddo presents this volunteer recognition certificate to Jennifer Smith in appreciation for the 100 hours of service and dedication to connect our citizens to the natural world, thereby creating a higher quality of life for those living in Caddo Parish. Volunteer Naturalists of Walter Jacobs Memorial Nature Park on the 21st day of February in the year of 2019, and this is signed by Ms. Stacy and myself. So, Ms. Jennifer?
Yay!
Malloy. Sorry. Malloy, not Molly. Malloy. Angela, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Ms. Mills, thank you for your outstanding effort. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, we have one other recognition we'd like to make. Ms. Stormy, would you like to join me for this one, please, ma'am?
Sure, sir.
You go get them. While she's coming, I'll read something to you. In addition, the Parish of Caddo Parks and Recreation Department recently received an innovative program for 2018 award from the Louisiana Parks and Recreational Association for the Fairy Homes and Gooms Homes event. That's a mouthful. Under the direction of Ms. Stacy Gray, I would like to present this award to Ms. Gray for her outstanding leadership and for keeping Caddo Parish on the map in the field of recreation. And it goes far beyond that, because a few years ago, Ms. Stacy received the NACO Achievement Award as well when we went to Fort Worth. So she's always been on the cutting edge.
All right.
So we have exceptional talented people working for the parish of Caddo and for the citizens of Caddo. So we want to recognize Ms. Gray with this plaque, and the inscription reads, an Innovation Program Award, Class 1, 2018, Caddo Parish Parks and Recreation Department, Ferry House and Gooms Home, most innovation program and leisure service in the state of Louisiana, and was presented on January 23rd, 2019.
All right.
Congratulations.
How honored.
Would you come on in?
They were all a part of this.
Mr. Supervisor, you want to say a word?
Well, the one thing I must say, we only have a staff of 17 people, but we have to serve the parish. I always tell everybody, we the Parks and Recreation Department with less people and more territory to cover. If it wasn't for the volunteers like this, we would not be able to do the programs that we do. I know I've gone to several different ones and I'm popping my head in just try to see what we're doing, and there are the volunteers working very hard, just as hard as our staff. And I'm like, okay, well, who with them? With nobody's with them. They're doing it, and they're doing it all on their own. It can explain everything about the Parks and Recreation, give the lesson plans. It's very positive. And Stacy has been one of the staff that has been very positive about doing the volunteers and putting that program together. And like I say, we want to thank all of them for all that they do and let them know that we truly appreciate them. Doug, come on up here.
Actually, I'd just like to just reflect on what Henri said. A lot of today, what we're looking at is the volunteers. We just had Owl Night, and our best guests, a couple thousand people. Yeah, a couple thousand people showed up at Walter Jacobs Park. Wow. And as Henri was saying, we have a small staff. Right. Without the volunteers, there's no way we can do that. And if we could have a few more moments of your time, Stacy has a little program she'd like to talk about the Nationalist program with you.
Awesome.
And Ms. Stacy, while she's preparing that, I just want to say, commissioners, the last renewal effort we had to get the parks renewal passed was very instrumental with these volunteers. Y'all saw the video, right?
Yes.
And a lot of the volunteers were in the video.
Yes.
And they work, and they were very passionate about what they do, and we cannot do what we do without them.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say a few more words to our commissioners here so that you guys understand how valuable these volunteers are to us and the parish in general. So thanks for allowing us to come today to honor the service of our volunteers. In case you're not familiar with our Volunteer Naturalist program, we began it officially in July of 2016. We did it so that we could increase the number and quality of the educational programs that the Parks and Recreation Department offers. And it also helps the nature park meet its mission of connecting citizens to nature. And then in addition to that, the program gives our volunteers an opportunity to earn community service hours in a way that most of them find very fulfilling, I believe. They also are able to build their resumes and gain skills and knowledge in a variety of fields of study. So to become a volunteer naturalist, they first have to do a required 5 hours of training. And that includes information about the Parks Department, the background of the park, information about all of our parks. They have a tour of all of our facilities. They learn about all the different kinds of programming we do at the park. And then they also do a little bit of animal handling training. So we really turn our volunteers into ambassadors for the Parks and Recreation program. And then this is what I think is a really important slide that I have here. So it's kind of our by the numbers thing. In just the 2.5 years that we've been doing this program officially, we have had over 50 active volunteer naturalists come into our program. So these are people that are actively volunteering for the Parks Department on a regular basis. Altogether, our volunteer naturalists have worked over 1,750 hours, and I haven't finished tabulating what they did at Owl Night, which was, it's volunteer heavy, yeah. And then the amount of those hours that those hours contributed is valued at is almost $40,000. And that amount is set by the independent sector, which is headquartered in DC, which is the coalition of nonprofits, foundations, and other giving types of programs. And then those are the numbers that we use in grant writing for state, federal grants. So that is the official contribution that our volunteer naturalist program has made to the parish in just under 3 years. And I did want to say just a little bit more about each one of our volunteers too, because these three ladies have each volunteered over 100 hours apiece in the past 2.5 years for the nature park. Angela was volunteering at the park even before we began this official program. So she's seen and actually helped a lot of our programs grow over the years. And she really is a jack of all trades. Angela is. She's very skilled. She's a skilled outdoors woman, so she helps with archery programs, fishing programs. She's also a preschool teacher in her other life. So she works really well with kids of all ages. She's very creative and very organized. She's my right-hand man at a lot of these events. And she actually takes on what I think is one of the more challenging assignments. She organizes our guided night hikes that we do at our Bugs, Bats, and Bones and Owl Night programs. Space is limited there, and when space is limited and you have 2,000 people at the park that want to go, it's kind of hard because you have the possibility of disappointing some visitors, but she is always professional, friendly, kind, and she always figures out a solution to make sure that everybody that comes to our events leaves happy. So we're really happy to have her. Really, she's a great volunteer. Heather came to our very first official volunteer training, and she's one of the reasons that we knew this program was going to be successful from the get-go. She's an avid lover of wildlife, and she has lots of experience working with animals, and she often brings her own animals to our events. That's her white rabbit up there that she brings to the Fairy House and Gnome Homes event every year. She's also an educator by trade, so patience, enthusiasm, knowledge for working with kids and families, she has all of that. She also set a record in our volunteer program. She volunteered for 3 events within a 24-hour period. So she went to the Yule Ball, which was for the teenagers at Shreve Memorial Main Library. The next morning, she was up bright and early at the nature park making nature ornaments for families that came to our nature ornament workshop. And then she immediately left and went to the town of Blanchard's Christmas Festival, where she led children's activities on behalf of the parish. Yeah, I know, she's amazing. So we're really lucky to have volunteers like this that are passionate and flexible and dedicated to our mission. We can't do all these kinds of programs without people that will help us do them. We can't be in all those places at once.
Yes.
And then Jennifer, really quickly, this woman has a passion for nature and science education. So in her other life, she's a pharmacist and a professor. She's very dependable, very versatile. She's the one that if she sees programs that don't have volunteers for, she will sign up because she is committed to making sure that we're able to offer these kinds of nature and science programs to our community, which therefore, increases quality of life for everybody here when we're able to offer special educational programs like this. Her kindness and enthusiasm for learning is contagious. She's one of everybody's favorites. She's an asset to this program, and I think she's an asset to our parish as a whole.
Yes.
And then I just have a couple more slides, sorry. I just wanted to share a little bit more about the Fairy House and Gnome Homes program and how appropriate it was for us to win this award and be able to honor these 3 volunteers because they come to that event every year. So they're one of the reasons that we're able to put on these great big events that the parish citizens absolutely love. We'll expect somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people at this event this coming year. The Fairy House and Gnome Homes event itself invites visitors to imagine, build, and explore during a day in an enchanted forest. The main attraction is the building area where they build tiny homes out of natural materials that we've collected. And people will stay for hours and build these things. And the parents sometimes, or the kids are trying to drag the parents off, and they're like, no, I'm not finished building my home. So everybody likes it, young and old. And then there's lots of other costume characters and story time, arts and crafts, and all that too. And I think that we came to see you guys maybe a year or so ago. So the award that we received today for this event is the second award that this particular event has received. So we won the National Association for Interpretation's Outstanding Special Event Award in 2017, and we're back again in 2018 with this one from the Louisiana Recreation and Parks Association. But anyways, we can't do these kinds of programs without all of our volunteers that come to help us. So, in closing, I'd like to personally thank y'all for letting us come today. Thank you to our Parks and Rec directors. Thank you to our parish administration, and thanks to all our commissioners for your past and continued support of our Volunteer Naturalist program and all the programs that we're doing at the Nature Park. Thank you.
Good job, Stacey.
Great job. We have some commissioners on board. I just want to say thank you again and congratulations to each of you. You're a part of the reason why Caddo is going from great to greater. And it's because of you that we're able to do projects and events like this. And we cannot say thank you enough. We hope that those treasures or certificates are just a little token of our love. I have Parliamentarian Bowman.
Thank you, Madam President. I couldn't have said it better. We are great and greater because we do have you all here, and I think we're also grateful that you all have volunteered hours that most people don't do for community service, that won't complete for even work, and so much passion that's indescribable, and so that means a lot. I mean, we even have one of the volunteers is a doctor, and she's volunteered over 100 hours. I mean, that's really admirable. So I just want to thank you all again and keep up the good work. And I know that wherever you go, you'll be represented well, but Caddo will always be greater because you all did what you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Parliamentarian Bowman. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, I'll start out like everybody else by saying thank you. Just curious to know, is there who should we contact, or is there a way to get involved, or do y'all accept invitations to get involved?
I'm glad you asked.
So
in March,
Good.
I believe the date is the 12th and 14th.
Yes.
We have a volunteer naturalist training, so you would come 2 nights, and we'll train you up to be a volunteer naturalist. But we always post all of our events, including the naturalist training, on the caddo.org website, on our Facebook page, and then we also have printed materials that we hand out too.
Henri should bring y'all out and bring y'all down more, because every time I meet a parish parks employee, I'm like, oh, you work for the parish? And I'm always kind of flat-faced, so Henri, bring your staff out more. I'm just playing. But I appreciate y'all. Because when I met Doug, I was like, what? You remember that?
Your invitation to more of our programs and activities.
Please do. Please do. But thank you for what you're doing. And if there's a contact or anything that I can get, because I'm always getting folks who want to get involved. Do y'all take youth as well?
Yes. So we do have 16 and 17-year-olds can volunteer with an adult, but we I think we're going to start taking some younger kids in a different capacity. But yes.
Okay. A lot of them are looking for service learning and credit hours. So yeah. Okay. Thank you, Madam President. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Well, Stephen got one of mine. I've got a little 13-year-old girl that may want to volunteer. So she's extremely smart. She's got to get some credit hours for some stuff she's doing. So hopefully y'all, she'd be eligible for that. Yeah. But the first thing I want to say, to Doug and Henri for all the wonderful things y'all do, but you volunteers, thank y'all so much. And Joe Lawler, who we just honored, was instrumental for getting the Walter B. Jacobs Park. It wouldn't be here for him, without him. And Stacy is the most positive person that you know. Always positive things on Facebook and social media. You do a really, really good job of notifying the public and keeping them up to date on what's going on. And I think that Dr. Wilson said cutting edge. You're a cutting edge employee, and you do a great, great job. And you probably don't get enough credit for everything that you do, but You know, y'all have that owl night. Y'all have so much things that's going on. Obviously, we can't go to everything, but there are a lot of people that, you know, a lot of people just like owls. There are a lot of people that are interested in the fairy gnomes and homes type of thing for the different things. So we have a diverse thing. I looked at the owl night. I thought, man, that'd be great, but boy, it was just so cold last Saturday. I just couldn't make it. I'm sorry. So I thank y'all, and y'all keep up the hard work. Appreciate it. That's it.
Thank you, sir. We have one more. Commissioner Lynn Carthorne.
I'll be very brief. I think enough has already been said. I'm always, you know, enamored by people that volunteer. We got Angela's a preschool teacher, and Heather's an educator, and Jennifer's a pharmacist. Why do you guys find time to do this kind of stuff?
That's true.
And when people volunteer like that says a whole lot about their character and who they are and their commitment to this community and in the betterment of it. I recently met Stacy at the pen ceremony, and I was getting ready to leave, and before I left, I said, well, you did a great job. Thank you for everything that you do, because she helped pass out the little bags the other day. But now I see that that's just a part of your spirit and who you are, and so I want to congratulate you and keep up the good work. And Mr. Wesley, George, you guys continue to do what you guys are doing by encouraging them. Have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you all. Dr. Wilson?
That concludes my report for today, Mr.
Okay. We have some commissioners with some questions for you. Parliamentarian Bowman?
I just have a question. Administrator Wilson, we have some good news I heard come through the pipeline at Animal Services.
Oh, yes, sir.
You care to discuss, or is it too preliminary?
Yes, sir. As you all know, commissioners, we've been talking about Pet Point for a while. We hired the consultant from Pet Point last year. They came out, they did an assessment as well as training. And they came back last Tuesday for another visit follow-on. And they said it was the best they have seen. And they were very impressed. And they thought that we went far beyond what their expectations were. And they also asked us if we would consider being a model unit for other counties across the United States that haven't come and trained with us. So I believe I sent a letter to you, President Gage Watson.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Mario, you got the letter?
Yes, sir.
And so
I just want the public to know,
yes, sir,
and everyone else to know the great things that we're doing.
I'm extremely proud of our team. Director Travis Clark has done a yeoman's job in leading those efforts to clean the system up and make sure everybody's trained. And the utilization of the system is 100%, as evident by the letter we got from the Pet Point folks, who acknowledges our accomplishments and our use of that technology.
And so with that, I just want to congratulate administration and also the directors at the Animal Services and just the staff, because you can't make something up like that. And this is for the second year in a row we said we were the best. They want to use this as a model, and how can you improve? Great.
Right.
That's all.
We will continue to endeavor to be the best we can and to work towards greatness. But we just want you to be proud of the fact that we have major transformation at the services center out there, and we will continue to evolve.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Are we on communiques, or are we still on the administrative report?
Yeah. Are you on communiques?
I'm on for communiques.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson, are you on for communiques, or?
I was going to respond to the
Dr. Wilson's report?
Yes.
Okay. You can get back on there,
Oh.
Commissioner Johnson.
So yes,
Commissioner Jackson.
Dr. Wilson, I had a quick observation as we just had that maybe the volunteers can do some training over at the shelter, or maybe they may have an interest in animals and want to come volunteer.
Yes, they do deal with animals, owls and hawks and.
I'm talking about the animals, but they get the meaning of true volunteers.
Yes, sir. And by no means, I don't want to underscore the other volunteers that work at the services center.
Yeah.
Because we get a lot of rescue groups that come and help us, and they help us become better.
Mm-hmm.
So we have not closed the door, and we certainly want to nurture that relationship.
When you say rescue center, you mean animal services or
animal services?
Parks?
We have volunteers there that come and work day in, day out as well. So we appreciate all the volunteers throughout the entire organization.
Gotcha. Thank you, and thank you for that. Thank you for this packet of information. I kind of knew what the outcome would be, but I appreciate y'all doing the due diligence for getting this to us. It had been suggested that all the parish did was pass the buck on issues. When have we ever, the question was asked, when has Caddo Parish ever stepped up to do anything? All we do is pass the buck on things. And so I wanted to make sure that, right, I wanted to make sure that when I see those individuals or that person, that I could put something in their hand. And, you know, we don't have to have a parade for everything that we do down here, because that's what we signed up to do. But when we look at some of the things that we come down here, Doc, you know, I'm always calling you saying, what can we do? Can we do more? This, that, and the third. And I probably work y'all nerves. And to see where we're the only agency to really step up from a local effort to do something. And, you know, so I just want to encourage citizens to get factual information about what we're doing. Yes, this did come from the Reserve Trust Fund. It's public dollars, and that's what we think public dollars ought to be used for, is to help people. But to go out and tell people all we do is pass the buck, I couldn't just let that sit well. That didn't sit well with me, not when I think we spent 2-3 months trying to get this second appropriation through. And so I appreciate you for getting this to me. And if Robert Jump ever finds the appropriations from the city of Shreveport, the state of Louisiana, or the federal government, send that to us. But I appreciate this body for stepping up and doing it. And I have this information, and I will be sharing it with them. And we need to always make sure we have the information readily available, because people try to hold our millages hostage for things. They try to hold us as elected officials hostage for things, and people need to know what we're down here doing in a factual manner. So thank you for providing this information. That's it for me, Madam President.
Thank you, sir.
Queensboro over.
I know.
That's it for the administrative report. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
President's report.
I was on for communicating.
Okay. Can we back up, please, sir? We'll go back to communiques and committee reports.
Thank you,
Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome.
Dr. Wilson, have we put the new sign up at Animal Services?
Yes, sir. It should be completed early next week.
Okay. What I would also ask of your staff is, could they find out the tax millages for the certain parishes? I want Bossier, DeSoto, Ouachita, Lafayette, Orleans, Jefferson, Calcasieu. Also want the county of Harrison and the county of Miller. The tax millage for the parish or county.
Okay, which millage, sir?
The whole tax.
The overall millage?
Yes.
Okay.
That each property owner pays.
Okay.
Let's see, what else? Did go to the Louisiana State Police Jury Association meeting in Lake Charles last week, and they're a very informative meeting. One thing that each person around this horseshoe, we got a new test you have to take now. It's dealing with sexual harassment. So as you take your other one, you take that one too. Also like to congratulate our commission president, as he is now the Black Caucus president for the state of Louisiana.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
Caddo is on the move. I did get that letter too that you sent about Pet Point, and I think that is something major, and it's amazing that the animal supporters are not here to hear that.
That's what
today.
I'm talking about.
But I would like to make sure that when they do show back up, that we do reassess that and let them know that that is what's going on. My last piece is the signs that are right here. Why are they here? Those signs?
Staff only?
Staff only signs?
There was a
Anybody know?
joint committee meeting with the two bodies requesting those be put up. There was a situation in the city council meeting where an individual handicapped could not get up to the city council members. So they felt it was better to make it inaccessible to all.
Right.
Instead of trying to there's really not a way to do handicap ramps and things like that. So from this point forward, there's nobody should be on the dais floor except staff.
Okay, well, I kind of have a problem with it. I mean, I didn't know to the extent that it was dealing with someone that's handicapped. But if the public is here in the audience and they want to come up here, you know, after the meeting or before the meeting, if we're trying to get some stuff together, I see no reason why they can't come up. Second of all, even when the two joint bodies do meet, that's a recommendation from that committee. We still have to vote on it before that becomes implemented. Am I right or wrong? Because that's just a committee that's formed to do that, and that's their recommendation is to place that there. But we still have to vote on it as a body.
That's true.
Well,
we did the same thing with the "In God We Trust" signs not too long ago. That the city never did buy onto, but we did. So therefore, we need to be more consistent with this.
Well, Commissioner Johnson, I would address that. The reason why we went on to put the signs up, and they are actually temporary signs, because we didn't want to be in violation with the Disabilities Act, for one thing. We have a ramp, you know, that they can actually come up on if they're invited up, but then we're opening up the back area to everyone if we did that. So we made these recommendations to put these signs in place in this area to be prohibited unless you're invited up. And we always go down and shake our guests' hands anyway when we first get here, when we see people in the audience or anyone who wants to address us. I think that we make those accommodations happen. But we did not want to be exclusive but inclusive with making this decision, and this was the quickest thing that we could do for a temporary fix.
All right, but I still don't think that even putting the signs out makes us in compliance, because I mean, it's an ADA issue. Even though you put a sign up doesn't mean that you're in compliance. I mean, if you say the bathroom's out of order because you don't have an ADA stall, then you still are out of compliance.
Right.
So the sign doesn't make us get into compliance. It's just saying that nobody comes up here.
Right, and
Because
that's
if we
why
had a
we're
staff,
treating everyone
if we had
the
a
same.
staff that's in a wheelchair, then that person couldn't come up here anyway. So you still got the same problem.
Yes.
So I
And
think
that's
we
a
need
long-term addressing
I think
issue.
we need to readdress the issue and make the issue right. And if the deal needs to have a ramp on one side, we need to put a ramp on one side, or assess the ramp so that they can come around the other way. But we need to make sure that we do that, because what we're doing here does not meet.
And
the
Commissioner
compliance of the law.
Johnson, also to address that, we also, in discussion, thought about it being a safety precaution, because we've had people to come down before, and you know, you've seen me under the desk before about people digging in their bags during the meeting, and they brought a dead dog to one of the city council meetings.
Right.
So they're able to approach this area without being stopped by the time security gets to this area. So that was another reason why we addressed the signs.
Yeah, but for that reason, we put the deputies out front.
Right.
To address that issue, and they are now scanned before they come into the chamber. So I just think we just need to relook at it. And I mean, if we had people that's in here and after the meeting, while we're still trying to get some stuff finished out, before we go down there, if they want to come up and just shake our hands or whatever, they should still be able to do that.
And they can if you invite them up.
No, not what that sign said. That sign says staff only. So even if I invite you up, that's still, you violating that sign.
So when you go to the state capitol and you're invited to the area that says prohibited, you can go past those signs because you've been invited in that area by the legislator. But it's okay, we can address it. I understand, I get you. Is that it?
Yeah.
I think Donna wants to say something about what I've been talking about.
Okay.
Attorney
I'm
Frazier.
sorry. I never looked at the board. Attorney Frazier. Were you done, Commissioner Johnson? Or
Well,
you
I'm
still
gonna
want
see what she gonna say.
Okay.
You know, she might tell
We'll
me
get back on the
I'm
board
way
if you
out of
need
line,
to.
but I think I'm good.
My question would be, why would the discussion, I guess, be taking place in your public meeting if this is something that's had a complaint or something of that nature or demand made? It should be addressed in executive session.
Well, it wasn't talking about a person. It's talking about.
Well, that's what I said. If there's been
it's talking about some equipment that's been added to the chamber that we didn't vote on.
If there's been a complaint, though, it needs to be addressed in executive session going forward.
Okay, the complaint
Like
wasn't to the parish.
Even if it was to that joint committee.
Yes.
I don't know if you all have counsel that advises the committee, or if you would like one of us to come down when you all have committee meetings, we're available to do that.
That'd be great.
But it needs to be addressed in executive session.
They did have representation there, but yes, I will make sure that you are at the next meeting. The city attorneys were there. Okay.
Since you're our counsel.
Hey, but
That's
going
it.
back to my first question, that if that committee did meet, it's a recommendation, and that this body still has to vote on.
That is correct.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Is it Commissioner Johnson?
That's it.
All right. Attorney Frazier?
I was done.
Okay. Commissioner Matthew Lynn?
I'm going to say ditto with Commissioner Johnson, that if a committee votes on something, it doesn't mean anything until the full body votes on it. And I have seen other cases besides this where committee has voted on something and all of a sudden things happen. And it wasn't right then, and it's not right now, and it won't be right in the future when it happens again. Thank you. That's all.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, Mr. Todd.
Yay.
Anyone else? I see no other discussion for communiques and committee reports.
Next, we move to the President's report.
Before we move on, Commissioner Carthorne, did you want to report on your economic development? And
Yes, we can do that.
Commissioner Bowman?
I know that's okay. I was going to do it at the end of the meeting, but this is an opportune time to do it right now.
Let's do it.
We had an economic development committee today at 1 o'clock. Had 2 items on, and one was not addressed. But we were afforded the opportunity to have a pitch from the what is called the Global Mixed Gender Basketball League. I think April 26, 27, 28, they're going to be here in Shreveport playing at the Gold Dome. And it's a basketball at the Hearst. At the Hearst. And so it's a mixed league basketball team. The people from the Sports Commission did show up to show us some of the economic impact it would have in this local community. Ironically, I think last year they did a game at the Gold Dome here in Shreveport. It met with big success, and they're looking to come back here in April. So as a committee, we did decide to allocate $15,000 that will be coming before the full body. Very interactive conversation with the organizers. There's some local people involved in putting on this event. I think it's a win-win for the city and the parish, and we hope that some of our friends across the river, municipal bodies across the river, will join in some type of support. Thanks. But that's it, Madam President.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Carthorne. Commissioner Bowman.
Well, thank you, Madam President. And the Appropriations Committee, we met today at 2 o'clock, and we discussed some ordinances and the possibility of amending some budgets, an organization and their budgets. But we also have another meeting coming up soon. We're going to see, hopefully, the first or second week in March. We're getting confirmation on that, but nothing beyond that was voted on. But we did a lot of discussion from Broadmoor, as well as an Allendale feed program, which was great, and we were able to talk about. But that will be coming to a full body soon as well.
Trust fund.
Yes, and with Jones Trust Fund as well was discussed.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam President.
Actually, next item, sir.
President's report.
Thank you. Okay, the Deputy Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness alerts the public of marginal low-end severe weather threats for Friday. Primary severe weather threat is for Saturday morning, also in early Saturday afternoon. Large hail is expected, damaging winds and tornadoes are possible. It sure would be awesome if we had those tornado sirens already in place for this severe weather in our area. Just want to leave that with my colleagues. As Commissioner Johnson has already said, that last week the Police Jury Association met, and so did our Black Caucus have a meeting and a luncheon. And I wanted to thank all of my colleagues, the administration and staff who came in support to our luncheon and was there for my swearing in. Thank you, Attorney Frazier. Administrator. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Linden. And Mario. Did I see you, Lynn? Matthew Lynn?
I was there. I was at another meeting during the Black Caucus meeting.
Yes, but we did join you for dinner. So thank you all for attending. And Director Henri, thank you, because I haven't said thank you to you. And I made a public notice about it, and I forgot to put your name in it, and I thought about it. So I wanted to make sure that I said thank you to you also for being there. During the Police Jury Association, we learned a lot about the importance of reiterating things that had been implemented on a state level. Things that we need to do locally. I know a lot of times we present resolutions and we have some kickback of not supporting them because we don't like to urge Congress or urge legislation higher than us to do things. However, our governor believes that those type of resolutions are imperative for our growth locally. That is something that we all need to take a part in. We'll also have on April 13th, an Empowerment Summit will be held in Alexandria, Louisiana, and it will be held from 8 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. The hotel accommodations are at Baymont Inn and Suites on MacArthur, and the group code is Black Caucus. This event is open to all of the elected officials. And that concludes my president's report. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next we move to public hearing on zoning ordinances and cases. Ordinance number 5853 of 2019 in regards to zoning case P519, amending the zoning of property located on the north side of East Flournoy Lucas Road, approximately 1,000 feet east of Ellerby Road, Caddo Parish, from R17 Single Family Residential District to C1 Neighborhood Commercial Planned Unit Development District.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5853?
Is it 5853 or 5851?
I think it's 5853. 5853. Item number 10.
Sorry, Madam President.
No problem. Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5853? I see none. I declare this ordinance number 5853 public hearing closed.
Next, we move to public hearing on ordinances. Ordinance number 5851 of 2019 declared certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and authorized parish administrator designee to sell the parish for Caddo's tax interest in certain surplus adjudicated properties.
There's 5851. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5851? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5851? I see none. I declare this ordinance number 5851 public hearing closed.
Ordinance number 5854 of 2019, amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the capital outlay fund in the amount of $79,180 to provide an appropriation to add an additional boiler at the health unit.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5854? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5854? I see none, Mr. Clerk. I declare this ordinance number 5854 public hearing closed.
That closes all public hearings. We move to zoning ordinance for final passage. Ordinance number 5853 of 2019 in regards to zoning case P519.
So,
Commissioner Jackson?
no, I don't know.
You're not? Okay.
Well, I'm waiting for Commissioner.
You said 5853 or 1?
5853 is amending the zoning of property located on the north side of East Former Lucas Road.
Q in it.
See, but that's 5851.
District 10, they should.
Well, I'm looking at this one then.
See,
5851.
see that number's out of order.
Yeah, it's out of, that's why.
That's why Commissioner Atkins
It's
asked that
backwards on
question.
this.
No, you down too far. You right here.
Down too far.
But it's,
Final passage.
You're number
numerically
12.
it's in order though.
Yeah.
It's number
It's
12.
in zoning.
5853.
It's a zoning
5853.
ordinance.
Motion.
Second.
Motion to accept.
It's been moved by Vice President Chavez and second by the chair.
Yes.
Please vote. And that passes 11 with one out of the chamber.
Next, we move to ordinances for final passage. Ordinance number 5851, 2019.
So
Concerning
moved.
certificated property surplus.
So move to adopt.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by Commissioner John Atkins. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment to 5851 to remove 0044 and 0043. If I can get a second, I'll speak to it.
Second.
Yes, and I'm removing those because I work with our we have a downtown group that works together, and so these properties are in areas that are being developed, whether it's Caddo Common Park or the Southern University Kitchen Incubator, and so they have all those organizations have reached out and requested that I remove those from the from this particular piece of ordinance. They don't want those to go out for bid. And so what we try to do is work together to make sure that they can assemble land there, so when it's time for them to develop or do a project, that they don't have those barriers. So I'd ask for us to move 0044 and 0043.
Okay, so we're voting on the substitute motion first. See no other discussion? Please put.
This is the amendment.
Yes,
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 we're
correct.
voting on the amended motion. Point of order,
I want to ask a question.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yeah. So you're removing two pieces of the property from this ordinance. Okay. All right, and they gonna come back up later, or?
No. At the moment, right now, what Southern University has asked is, because they intend to acquire, probably shouldn't
Someday
say
down
that.
the road.
I probably shouldn't have said that, but
They down the road.
There's at some point, those organizations are gonna want to make use of those properties, and so they don't want to get them tangled up. So they ask that I remove them. Right. Does that answer your question?
Who was that on?
That's it? No other discussion, please vote.
I probably shouldn't have said Southern wants to buy the property.
That's all right.
And that passes 11 with one out of the chamber. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Now we need to vote
As amended.
to adopt as amended.
That's correct.
We are voting on the item as amended. Please vote.
Mr. Dominic?
It says yes.
All right, that passes 11-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Ordinance number 5854, 2019, amending the budget estimate revenues and expenditures for the capital outlay amount of $79,180.
So moved. Second.
It was been moved by the chair and second by Commissioner Bowman. Please vote.
It's for the boiler?
Yes. And that passes 11-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to zoning ordinances for introduction by title. Zoning case P219 in regards to ordinance number 5856 of 2019. Amend the zoning of property located on the south side of Blanchard Lake, Texas, 1,320 feet west of White Acres Road, from RA Rural Agriculture District to RMHS Residential Manufactured Home Subdivision District. Zoning case P319 in regards to zoning case to ordinance number 5857 of 2019, amending the zoning of property located on the southwest corner of Flournoy Lucas Road and Wallace Lake Road, Caddo Parish, from C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to C2 Corridor Commercial District. Next, we move to ordinances by title. Ordinance number 5854 of 2019, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the general fund in the amount of $20,000 to provide an appropriation for crime prevention and citizen participation. Ordinance number 5858, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the general fund and capital outlay fund in the amount of $45,000 to provide an appropriation for a cosmetology program at the reentry facility at CCC. Next we move, there are no resolutions, there is no old business, we move to new business. Reappointment to the Metropolitan Planning Commission.
So move for adoption.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Jackson, and it was seconded by Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I
Amber.
see we have Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Would you like to speak on your motion?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. All due respect to Commissioner Jackson, I should have reached out to you on this, Commissioner. Several of us on the commission are trying to work with several council members to ensure that we all are in agreement with who we'd like to see appointed to this position. So I'm going to have to get back on the board to make a motion to delay. So I'll get back on the board.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam President.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to simply voice my support for Mr. Andrews. He lives in my district. I've kind of followed him closely, not only with his great work with the Metropolitan Planning Commission, but his overall participation and activity in the community. So I think he's an excellent choice. I thank Commissioner Jackson for, I don't know how it got past me, but I thank you for bringing him forward, and I look forward to supporting him on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner John, well, you've already spoke. I want you to get back on there. Commissioner Matthew Lynn, back on the board.
I'm going to give y'all a little history on these joint appointments in that I support Mr. Andrews, and a long time ago, when I was first elected, he came up on the board, and it was this joint commission. And it was us voting on him because the city council had voted to put him on the MPC prior. And it was a every other. And so they voted long ago, we voted to put him on there. And then since that time, they have voted to put him back on there. And now it's back in our court again. Recently also, now I'm going to jump in, same subject, different person. There was a situation where the city had voted for a person on a joint commission body, and then we voted, then that person resigned and didn't want to run again, then we voted because it was our turn to vote to pick a person. And we picked a person, and then of course they have to confirm. Some of y'all may recognize that occasionally we'll get somebody for confirmation of a vote of the city council, and out of respect to the city council, we vote and affirm that decision. That is that every other vote, and so they get picked, and then we confirm their decision. Then like this, and like the one that we had not so long ago with the Board of Appeals, it was our turn to pick. We picked and then send it to them for confirmation. Pardon me?
We pick and then they confirm this one, is what you're saying?
Correct. Now that is the way that it has been done, is that either they pick, we confirm, or we pick and they confirm. And we have been doing that for the last 11 years and 2 months that I've been a commissioner. I will say that in my conversation with Mr. Bernstein, that has been our gentleman's agreement, gentlewoman's agreement, gentleperson's agreement, to be all inclusive.
Gentle people.
Mr. Burns has informed me, and if he's here, he's welcome to chime in, that yes, that can be the interpretation of the law, but that there also could be another interpretation of the law, is that if one group doesn't agree with the other group, that they can stall the situation, the confirmation, but that technically we both have to confirm. What I understand from Mr. Commissioner Atkins bringing up is the interpretation that Mr. Bernstein has brought to my attention most recently in a possible interpretation of the way that these are written, and the new interpretation of the way that these are written is not the way that it has been interpreted for the prior 11 years of me being a commissioner. And so I just want to bring everybody up to speed that there may be a new interpretation out there. I plan on voting for Mr. Andrews. I think that that his historical nature of being on the MPC has been very fortunate, and I have watched him with great scrutiny and have noticed that he votes per issue, that he's not this way or that way, but he bases his decision on facts. And the combination of him basing his decision on factual, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts, and not on a political sway, and that he is the longest serving member of that board, and there is something to say. If he can stomach it to stay another 12 years, I couldn't be here 13. But if he can stay there for that length of time, more power to him. Anyway, thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome, sir. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I was going to basically say some of the same thing that Matthew Lynn said, is that, you know, if it's a joint appointment, then both bodies have to basically agree to it. And we have had that gentleman's agreement in the past, but that changes every time you have a new election, that you assume that that gentleman's agreement is going to stay intact, but not all the time that it does. So in that, I mean, we probably have to look at this, and if we do vote, then they still have to come back and confirm it anyway. If they don't, then we go back to the drawing board, and they might submit somebody, then we would have to confirm that person, or that it stays locked up for a while until we get together and come up with a person. So, and even with the ZBA appointment we did, you know, that one hasn't been confirmed by the city yet either. So, I mean, it's good to do it. I mean, we just putting forth an effort. It's basically playing tennis. So the ball is in our court. We knock it over the net and see if they take it. If they don't, then we know where we got to go. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move that we delay the vote on this matter until the second week of March, and if I could a second, I will give some background.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Chavez.
Okay.
From all accounts, Mr. Andrews is a solid member of the MPC. I have no issues with Mr. Andrews. My objective here is to, well, one, I think 12 years is plenty in that role. Two, I think it's important to get some fresh people and perspectives. And three, and the most important issue, my real issue, is that I'd like to get someone on the MPC, some additional people on the MPC that have additional perspective into the actual development process, building and development process. And so the individual that I personally have in mind is an architect who's not so close to the process that he would be in conflict very often, but he understands what goes into that MPC process and could bring some insights and perspective into the system. So I'm just asking for some time to explore this avenue, both internally within the commission and within the city council, and see if we can improve the MPC and the MPC process. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Jackson, you got on the board after I saw Commissioner Atkins' name, so I know that he had already spoken.
No,
so,
it's fine.
Okay.
I didn't know this would be an issue. So I work with the MPC as a member of the Master Plan Subcommittee, and it was brought to our attention that we need to reappoint our members. Their times have expired. We just had a conversation where we thanked the ladies down here for volunteering and their time and their effort and their services. Mr. Andrews is a retiree in this community. He's given back to this community. He gives up his time for free to come down and be a part of this process, and he doesn't complain about it. And I'm going to reiterate what Commissioner Lynn says. He never brings any angle. He has no conflicts. He doesn't have a dog in the hunt. And that's what the MPC is supposed to do, is to be an independent arbiter of the facts. And he has done that on all of the issues that I have seen him on. He does not take sides. He does not sugarcoat the issues. And when we have people like that willing and ready to step up and serve, we should give them that. He's not been controversial on the MPC. He's very quiet and to himself. He doesn't ask, he doesn't say anything unless you say something to him. And so I didn't think that this much discussion would come up about him, let alone this appointment. But Attorney Frazier, if you correct me if I'm wrong, if the city council doesn't agree and we have this back and forth, he still serves until a successor is named?
That's correct.
Okay. And, you know, I think it creates some volatility in our development community and for the MPC when we have people who are serving not knowing if they'll be taken off here and there. And so I think it's not good faith effort for us. But again, Mr. Andrews, he's a scholar and a gentleman. And I would hope that we wouldn't prolong it because we're waiting on the city council to give their recommendations or input or something like that. I think we should just move forward with and reappoint somebody who's been willing and ready to serve and has done a good job so far. So that's it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. I'm giving Commissioner Atkins my second and my support for this. I personally don't know Mr. Windsor Andrews nor the other man that you have in question. I just would like to see, as opposed to playing this tennis match back and forth, I don't know if any of us on this board went to the city council, and I think in the essence of being expedient, maybe instead of having that gentleman's agreement or whatever we called it, why don't we just go sit down and talk with them and say, hey, listen, who's the best person for the MPC that we can collectively agree on, and we all kind of come to a common goal at that meeting, and then we all go back to our respective bodies and just press the button and ratify our decision. I would think that would be more of an expedient decision on making our joint appointment together rather than the tennis match. So I'm willing to prolong it. Granted, any of us from the board go sit down with any of them from the city council board, and we come out with a person that we would like, either leave Windsor on there, or if somebody has somebody else, and we go back and forth on the qualifications, and we all walk out of that room, and we have this appointment ratified and finished within 30 days. I think that would be the more expedient method. So I would like to see us do that. I think that would be good government as opposed to the tennis match. And that's all. Thank you, President.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Matthew Lynn, you've spoken already.
Not on this motion.
No,
Not on the substitute.
Oh, I guess I haven't on the substitute.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Alan Clark, if you could come up front, I'm going to ask you a question that I think I know the answer to, and while you're walking up here, I'll lead into it. I had nominated Councilwoman Lavette Fuller to the MPC, for which she did not win, and a local architect that sometimes did jobs for the city of Shreveport or governing bodies for this area. He didn't do a lot, but he did some. And Mr. Clark, this may be something that we need to change in the MPC's laws, but at that time, and I can remember even before, that if a person did anything for the city or the parish, that not only that they could not just simply recuse themselves from the vote, which we can do, which you would think would be the proper and right thing to do, that they actually had to resign from the board if they had anything up. Is there any truth to that?
I think that was the policy of the Ethics Commission prior to some changes that were made that allows MPC board members to recuse themselves, and basically now they not only recuse themselves, but they leave out of the chambers when discussion is happening. They can't participate in any of the discussion, nor can they vote. I think that's the way. I can yield to the attorneys, but that's the way it's handled now.
Attorney Frazier, what is your opinion on this?
That's correct. You all as elected officials can participate in debate and recuse yourself from the vote. Appointed officials cannot participate in the debate, and they cannot vote. I'm not familiar with the provision that they have to resign. I would have to research that further.
Okay,
It's my understanding that they do not have to resign now if they followed that procedure.
But they used to have to.
They used to have to resign. And as you well know, we've had some board members that had to resign as a result of having a conflict.
That they could not just leave the room and not vote. They had to resign.
They had to resign, and they did resign. And that's why we tried to encourage independent board members that had no possibility of even the appearance of impropriety. But that's not our decision.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. That was all I wanted to bring up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn.
Thank you, Madam President.
Parliamentarian, Commissioner Lewis Johnson, have you spoken on this motion?
Not on this motion.
Okay.
With that being said, I appreciate that information that you shared, Commissioner Lynn. I was unaware of that, so I really appreciate that. But of course, as it relates to the delay, I was simply supporting him, and to say that it's more expedient that we will put it off, I disagree with that. I think the expedient thing is that it's before us at this point with an opportunity to make a selection in that respect. So I certainly respect and understand Commissioner Atkins' position, but to say that someone who has served in that position for as long as he has, with the benefit of the experience that is, I think, is incomparable in that respect, as it relates to understanding the process, understanding the system. I don't think that anyone can understand it any better than he can at this point. And I was not basing it on anything other than the fact that he has served in that position. He is a man of proven character, and he does a good job where he is. So for that reason, I would be asking us not to delay, but to move forward with the vote at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. I too support this appointment for Mr. Andrews to this Metropolitan Planning Commission. I've known Mr. Andrews for a very long time, probably over 20 years, and I know that his character is a servant heart. He also takes pride in serving on this commission board. I think that we may get a little hung up on newness. And sometimes it's not good to just replace all of your wisdom with a brand new person and you don't have any wisdom on those boards. You have two brooms at your home for a reason. You may have one to sweep outside and one to do the inside. That's where I am with this. And I think that Mr. Andrews will continue to serve well. There will be other appointments that will be coming available if there is someone else that is desiring to serve. I'm sure that we'll have plenty other opportunities for them to serve, but I will support this reappointment. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, have you spoken on this motion?
No. Not on this board. I haven't.
Go ahead,
Not on the
sir.
substitute. I call for the question.
Oh, second then. That's what I was going to say.
The question has been called.
On the substitute.
That's what
We're going to vote on the substitute motion first. The question has been called by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, and it was seconded by Commissioner Doug Dominic. We're voting on calling for the question. Please vote. And that passes 9-2. Okay, now we're voting on the reappointment.
We're voting on the substitute motion to delay the second meeting in March.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We're voting on the delay. So if you're for the delay or if you're against it.
That failed.
Mr. Bowman?
And that fails 3-7. Okay, and now we're voting on the original.
Mr. Bowman, you're not showing, did you vote? Yours is not showing, sir.
Yeah, I don't know why.
What did
How'd
you
you
vote,
vote?
sir?
No?
No.
You
So
voted no?
it's 3-8.
Well, yes. Was you want to extend the time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're voting for it?
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's 8-3, correct?
no, he voted yes. It's 4.
4-7.
4-7, okay.
Yes.
It fails.
And it fails. Now we're voting on the original motion for the reappointment.
The original motion, reappointment of Mr. Windsor Andrews.
Please vote. And that passes 10-1. Next item is the clerk.
Next we have communiques and committee reports.
I just had one thing I wanted to, well, I actually have two things I wanted to say. I wanted to say thank you to the SPAR City of Shreveport, the Airport Park Community Center, and their choir today had their Black History program, Black Migration, celebrating the journey of African Americans, and I was their guest speaker. So I would just like to say thank you to them for this beautiful plaque that they gave me.
She's being modest. I was present, and she did a wonderful job. Everybody stood up. She was great.
And as Black History wraps up, I have one more that I am inviting you all to. On this Sunday, I'll be the guest speaker at 2nd Mount Zion Baptist Church on East 69th Street at 11 a.m. And I also like to give one final shout out to the people at Mount Moriah Baptist Church in Parish, Louisiana. I was their guest speaker on this past Sunday. So Black History Month is wrapping up, thank God. It's been a pleasure.
She didn't mean it like that.
Commissioner Lynn.
Yes, this is the last meeting we will have before the Crew of Highland Parade. The Crew of Highland Parade, I'm going to give you a little history. We put it on the Sunday before Fat Tuesday for the reason of keeping people in town one more day. It's a lot easier to keep tourists in town one more day than it is to get them to move here. We have been hugely successful in that, and now all we got to do is, like the city of Monroe, the city of Alexandria, and everything south of Alexandria, is close some schools and close some government to have Lune de Gras and Fat Tuesday a true holiday in our Caddo Parish area. Yeah. The Crew of Highland Parade brings in, I want to say right now, about 60,000 people that spend the night that night, and we get a lot of daytime travelers coming in from Kilgore, Little Rock, Alexandria, Monroe that actually come in for the parade. If you'd like to see the parade, it starts this year on the corner of Gilbert and Slattery, goes north to Gladstone, left on Gladstone to Highland, left on Gladstone to Cresswell, north on Cresswell to Herndon, right on Herndon to Highland, right on Highland south to Olive, left on Olive, east to Centenary Boulevard, and then we travel south on Centenary Boulevard. We go past Centenary College, which that is their Founders Week, and that is the children's zone. There's no alcohol allowed on Centenary's campus, and so if you're looking for an alcohol-free zone, that is the area. Most of the parade, 90% of it, goes past private residences. We invite all of Shreveport and all of the Arklatex to come into Highland and to see all of our neighbors. We are the most culturally and socio-economically diverse neighborhood within 200 miles of this area. So I want everybody to come in and see how well everybody gets along and how beautiful the homes are and how attractively priced they are for the square footage. You can buy more home in better shape that is individualized to your needs and desires than you can anywhere in the city of Shreveport or Bossier. I will give you a hint on how affordable they are. My wife and I just bought a home in Highland that we are renovating to move into for $7,500. And so that's the price of some of the homes. Now, they're not all that inexpensive, but that's what we just paid in the last 30 days for a home. And so you can do that also. You can also buy them already renovated for much less than that, or excuse me, from already renovated for much more than that. So the parade is happening March the 3rd. We invite everybody to come to the parade. We're very grateful for the crew of Sobek, the crew of Harambe, the crew of Justinian, Gemini, and Centaur for putting their floats in the parade. And so we're a parade where all the other crews can put a float in the parade for $500-ish. It's affordable to everybody. And we welcome everybody into the Highland area to see some of the fantastic floats and the beautiful people that we have. On a extra note, right now at the State Museum on Greenwood Road, there is an exhibit of masks. These masks, I was amazed at their affordability. I was expecting them to be in the thousands. They're in the $100 to $250, some $350 range. Handmade masks, exquisite. These masks were all made by the king of the crew of Highland this year, Dennis Beckman. I'll have to say that our queen, who used to manage a Head Start program under Caddo Community Action Agency, Teresa Edgerton, and of course now I have to say our captain, which the wonderful Sydney Smith is our captain this year. But the king made all these masks, and he will be handing out in the parade, I think he's going to hand out somewhere between 10 and 20 of these masks along the parade route. And so he'll be north of Kings Highway once he starts handing them out. And so we invite everybody that if they want to get a hot dog, a multi-$100 Mardi Gras mask. What else do we throw? I've thrown spaghetti and meatballs in a Ziploc with a fork before, and so you're going to catch a lot of fun and funky things that you would never catch at any other parade. And we're very inclusive in wanting all the other Mardi Gras crews to join us, and we're very proud to have all of our other crews join us in the parade. So please come out. March the 3rd starts at 2 p.m. sharp. It's thecrewofhighland.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn.
Thanks for letting me go over. I think I might have.
Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
I was just going to remind everybody, and I gave the wrong date out, but Robertson Film Center this evening, they'll be showing Creed, and next week they will be showing Selma, and there's going to be a conversation. And then this weekend is the Robbies over at Robertson Film Center. So there are quite a few things going on this weekend. I know my schedule is full. I think the AKAs have something going on, so I encourage folks who are out there watching to get involved and get out and enjoy Crew of Highland. There's some parades going on this weekend. So it's quite a bit of activity that's taking place within the city, within the parish. So please get out and support those. I want to thank administration for a good meeting that we had on Tuesday at the Cherokee Highland Park Neighborhood Association. Appreciate Attorney Frazier, Travis, I don't know why I always want to say Travis Scott, Muriel Burns, and all of the parish staff that helped Karen, who provided us with those booklets, and Crystal, who provided us with those books. So thank you. We believe that information is power, and they're trying to rebuild and restart their neighborhood association out there. So they really appreciate it, and we'll do it again probably later in the year. So thank you, administration, for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lynn Carthorne.
Yeah, very briefly, Madam President. I want to thank Commissioner Lynn for his 7-minute commercial on Highland. I think he did a yeoman's job, but in all seriousness, The crew of Highland does an excellent job, and I think the word for that community is eclectic. It is one of the most diverse and culturally inviting communities in this city, and I appreciate what you guys do over there. I think that the economic development opportunity and the whole Mardi Gras thing here in Shreveport is coordinating a week or 4 or 5 days that leads up to Fat Tuesday, selling us as a safer place to celebrate Mardi Gras as opposed to south of I-10, and do that on a regular basis. And we grow into our own Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, that sort of thing. But that's going to mean some coordination with the groups and the crews and all that good stuff. But once again, congratulations to the crew of Highland, and you guys keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome, sir. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Just want to give everyone a reminder that Southern University Board of Supervisors are meeting here in the city, and they will be having their banquet this evening at the Convention Center. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Lynn, thank you for reminding the public of the parade that will be held on next Sunday. I will be riding in the parade with our newly elected mayor, Mr. Adrian Perkins, and I'll have a very special guest, my son Remington Watts, the 6-year-old.
You're riding in the Grand Marshal
Yes.
vehicle there, the convertible Suburban.
Yes.
All right.
All right. I don't see any other comments for communiques. Mr. Clerk?
Well, since the comments, I have no other cards.
So move for adjournment.
I have none. It's been moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson to adjourn. Meeting adjourned.
It's come and go. John, Leah.